Committee, Wednesday, May 29, 2024. Do I have a motion to open our meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This meeting is being video and audio recorded. So this is essentially going to be our last Finance Committee before the annual town meeting. We have a few things to button up. There was a few budgets that we had not voted on previously, which included our schools, Old Colony, the golf department, and our two enterprise funds, the water and sewer. And there were some amendments, I believe, to a few other budgets that have taken place since our last meeting. Our town administrator, Mr. Kelly, has been meeting with the Board of Selectmen regularly, getting us to this point where we have a balanced budget. It's been a painstaking process this year, to say the least. Took a lot of hard work on everybody's part involved in this process, from us, the Finance Committee, Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, Finance Department, all the departments in town. It was a big undertaking this year to get to this point. But here we are. So, Mr. Kelly, whatever updates you have, please let us.
Let's start with the revenue sheet, and I'll
Sure.
go through some of the changes. The first is under new growth. We have a new estimate from the assessors of $210,000. The total estimated operational tax levy then would be $22,415, $168.90. There's not much changes from what you've seen in the state aid and state assessment section. There's a change in the water figure from what you've seen in the local receipts, because reflecting the change in the water rates, etc., because of New Bedford. And I'd like to highlight the investment income. You're not going to see that again at $200,000. A lot of that comes from the fact that we put ARPA money in interest-bearing instruments while we waited to go through the process for the Slocum Street project. And we made a lot more money there than we have in the past. And so next year, that's not going to be there, because hopefully we'll have spent it on the Slocum Street project.
True.
The section that is other sources of operational funds, I'd like to highlight. There's a change from the traditional EMS receipts reserved fund from $513,938 to $550,000. That was the fire chief. Oh, we should be very grateful to him. He made sure that we had that additional funds when he knew how difficult it was to balance a budget. You will see two new items here, different from the past. There is one for $132,823. That's from the overlay surplus, and that is targeted specifically to the last payment on a lease purchase in Old Colony's budget. And so it's a one-time use which is allowable. That will, hopefully will not see that $132,000 in next year's Old Colony budget, because that was up on top of their operational monies. And then $89,878, we decided to show and this is the first year, the offset from the Golf Enterprise account. And this will include such things as health insurance, pension, Medicare, general insurance, workman's comp, unemployment, and equipment insurance, as well as that part-time number, or that partial number for the, one of the finance positions. We will continue to refine the offsets due to the town from that enterprise account through the next year. Now we've started to track all those expenses. And so revenue we have is 36,183.
36 million.
$36,183,788.90. Just for an aside before we really go through the warrant, but the grand total for the operational budget is $36,183,691.
$102 to spare.
So we were real close. It's the closest I've been between revenue and operational budgets for as long as I've been doing this. Usually you count on somewhere around 50,000. Mr. Chairman, in the warrant, your letter, your updated letter is included.
I saw that.
We're still working on the selectmen's letter. We've got to do the index once we finish and page the warrant. The Article 2, you see we have an amount, $3,329. It's a prior year bill. What happened is we sent an unemployment payment to the state where it should have gone to the insurer, because the insurer also sent the payment. And so we ended up, and the Commonwealth credited us, but we still owed the insurer then.
Whoops.
You see the article with the, relating to the cable, PEG Access and Cable Related Fund. We included, for the first time, a cable reserve fund of $50,000. You've got aging equipment, and like the other enterprise, similar type of accounts, it makes sense to put that in at this point. Articles 4 through 9 are the standard articles you see every year. That's why they're in the consent budget. The revolving fund article, we increased the Conservation Commission to $5,000. Other than that, they're all the same as in prior years. In the reserve accounts and free cash articles, I put a brief summary up top before we get to the articles that shows that we have $453,382 remained in free cash from the fall town meeting, and this is how it was appropriated. Article 11 is to keep the Massachusetts Strategic Health Group pricing down. Article 12 is a settlement with, for the school district with the bus company. Article 13 you've seen are the two fire articles concerning the alarm receiver units and the repeater. Article 14 is the senior work-off, which you've seen. Article 15 is the YES program. And then we put $100,000 into general stabilization to keep us right in the middle of where the bond houses want us to be for our bond rating. Article 17 is the typical CPC article that authorizes the appropriations and then where it's going to be spent this year. The fact that it's more than the amounts of spending just means that it'll revert to the undesignated fund. Article 18 you've seen, and that's the seeing if the town will impose a local meals tax, excise tax of 0.75%. Almost 80% of the South Coast communities have opted into this local option, and it'll raise between 50 and 100,000 is the estimate. And then we've determined to fund various collective bargaining agreements retro payments out of the overlay surplus that's been released. And you can see a chart up top that shows where they're going, and the fact that it also notes the old colony lease purchase and the AFSCME one is to take care of an adjustment with the dispatches and 2 clerical positions, where we have grandfather redlined the administrative assistant position, and in between that position and the senior clerk position have put a principal clerk position. So as soon as the current person in the administrative assistant position, which is funded at the top of the salary chart for AFSCME, as soon as that incumbent vacates, the position goes away. Now we have a more logical progression of clerical workers. The steelworkers contract is for the department head / professional unit, the new unit. It consists of a retro and a $14,000 total signing bonus in the place of 2 years of retro. And then the retro for the police contract is $445,750, and it reflects the money we had to spend because of the post adjustment. I think you've seen almost all of those articles before. If I'm wrong, please tell me. Slocum Street construction project articles you have not voted on. And as you know, it's an ARPA, primarily an ARPA-funded project, but there is some town money involved. It's gone out to bid. It's been designed, engineered, gone out to bid. The bids were received 2 days ago. Woodard and Curran, our design and engineering firm, is reviewing the bids now to make sure that everybody who bid actually bid on what the bid documents say. And we have a report coming in tomorrow. The figures you see here in these 3 articles, taking money out of the capital expense stabilization fund, $500,000, the water special revenue fund, $500,000, and then a vote to possibly borrow $1.2 million. The borrowing is similar to the fire truck situation to put in place because there is a second round of ARPA funds coming out of Bristol County, and only shovel-ready projects are eligible for it. We've got one of the few projects that's eligible, and so if we got another round of ARPA money from Bristol County, it would be more than the $1.2 million. The problem is that we won't know either sometime in June or July what we're getting in that second round. They have to spend the money because or it would revert back to the federal government. And this is monies that are a result of an awful lot of communities that weren't able to put any projects forward for their original allocation of the ARPA money. So it goes back into the second pool, which we then apply for. And we've already got our applications in, all the specs from Woodard and Curran, and we're just waiting to see how much we get.
Can I ask one question? What is the Slocum Street construction project?
It's replacing water pipe, street, sidewalks, hydrants, water connections from South Main Street all the way to the bridge. And possibly where needed, stormwater.
Because there's nothing over here describes what the project was. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that, why isn't there like a...
Excuse me?
I was gonna ask the same thing, like, why isn't there like a map or...
It's
But...
it's, the only thing we're not replacing is a sewer line. And,
Why is that?
huh?
Why is that? They're digging up the whole street, they're never replacing the sewer line?
Because it's fairly new.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that, sorry.
And wouldn't this also tie in to any potential future projects that are done off of Slocum Street?
It would enable the possibility for over 55 at the foot in the old Acushnet site.
Yeah, because without these upgrades, nothing like that could take place.
Well, that and the fact that there very potentially is a stormwater issue at the foot. And also going up properties along that.
I mean, the road is in dire need of work, upgrades, so, I mean, it's important for our residents who live along there.
We also are waiting for TOT to release potentially $1.5 million out of the transportation bond issue that was earmarked, or not earmarked, was specified for Acushnet. So the fact that originally we thought the project would be 5.5 million to 7, and it looks like it's coming in no more than 5 and change, and probably a lot less looking at the preliminary bids. I think we're in good shape funding-wise.
Do we know how long the bonding period would be on this?
No, it's a transportation bond issue that I talked about that. As far as the borrowing goes,
Yeah.
it would be up to the selectmen what as far as going out to bond. And that depends on the bond houses, the interest rate, and how quickly, if anything, we could get state funds to back us up on it. We also have a couple minor earmarks, like we have one for the handicapped ramps, stuff like that. So we've piled various sources together and had the legislative delegation apply for different sources, different projects to put it under this whole umbrella.
Does this one include like any like it's like pedestrian type bike paths, that kind of thing, or we don't, it's too early to tell?
That's not in the plans. The real problem there is
Probably parking, right?
you've got a very narrow roadway, including the sidewalks, and we're even looking at probably having to put the hydrants not on Slocum Street, but right off the corners of the side streets, just to make sure we can fit everything.
I certainly hope this project don't take it as long as that bridge that they're doing over there. Shut down that street for like 3 years, like they're doing for the bridge over there.
Yeah, but that's a state project, that's why that, and it's in.
Well, yeah, well, it's also, I don't think we have to worry about migratory
Have to go all the way up to,
fish or
Freetown.
something in
get
the,
back over here someplace.
on Slocum
They
Street.
don't have the environmental issues.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Only if they're flopping down the hill.
And you said this is going to be the last round of ARPA funding that's going to be available?
They said we should know from Bristol County sometime between June till the end of July. So we'd have to put this in place, and it'd be like the article with the fire truck. We have it in place, but we really don't plan to use it.
So essentially, being ready to go on this is important.
It saves us a ton of money.
Because if we have to do all this out of our pocket, you're talking a lot more money without the ARPA funding. And that
Well,
means,
we've got all the first round of ARPA money, it's
Right.
like $2.8 million. Round figures.
Right. And we're still looking for 1.2 plus. You were saying you think we get more than that in this next round, based on what may be available, which we could then use towards,
Well, they'd give us only up to the amount that we sign a contract for the bid. So we couldn't get extra money to do a different project.
No, but we're more favorable because we are shovel-ready.
Well,
Yeah.
where I think when we put our application in, we were putting it in at the same time as one other community. and no one else had put it in yet.
Right.
Yeah, if we had to fund all of this entirely on our own, it's gonna be a much bigger impact on the town.
Oh, if you didn't have ARPA and the money we put away in the stabilization accounts, it would have been a $5 million project.
Right, so if this helps us minimize taxation, then, you know, it's,
So let me ask you, Jamie, if we're looking at 1.2 coming from the town, but we've got another million coming from stabilization funds, if the state comes back and says that we can get 2.2, can we not use that stabilization funds and earmark that? So if we get 2.2, we can use 2.2 and save $1 million from our stabilization funds, which is the hope.
yeah.
Yeah, and if we get all that is possible out of the transportation bond issue,
Yeah.
yes, I mean, the town monies would be minimal, if any.
That would be awesome. All because of good planning. Right.
And I have to compliment Jen Thompson from Capital Strategic. She has been our grant and compliance consultant.
Because typically, this would be part of the town planner responsibilities, master plan, this would be part of that.
Well, she's a former town administrator from the town of Plainville, and she's very knowledgeable about these type of things. She's also very knowledgeable. She was involved when they were bringing the casino to Plainville, et cetera. So she understands a lot of how to pyramid all these different programs to end up picking as many different state pockets as possible to end up with the funding. And we were lucky to hire her when we did, because they've been refusing work. This type of work they've been doing other. Bill Keegan, the former town manager from Foxborough, they hired him about 3 months ago, so they're becoming a bigger dog in the state than they were when we originally contracted with them.
How long do we have left on that contract?
Oh, they'll be here until the end. And we've also used them on the master plan, getting those grants. Excluding what she might do in the additional ARPA, she's in probably $250,000 to $300,000 range for grants she's gotten us. And we've probably expended over, since I've been here, no more than 20,000.
It's a good return.
So it's a deal.
See, you haven't voted on this, did you want to vote on these?
It kind of helps knowing the phone, which phone number to dial for which state official.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions or discussion on Slocum Street construction project articles, I would suggest we discuss it now, because then when we vote, we're gonna vote the whole kit and caboodle at once. So is there any more discussion on these, or any questions that, does anybody have relative to Article 22, 23, and 24?
I'm good.
Okay. We'll continue. Article 25, the operating budget.
All right, you voted on most of these individually.
Yes, the only ones we did not cover were,
The accountant budget's been changed by $2,000
Up or down?
in salaries
Up or down?
down. And moved, the 2,000 was moved to another account. I'll deal with it when we get to it.
yeah, so if you want to give us any updates on budgets that we've already covered, that'd be great, and then we'll go over the ones that we haven't voted on yet, which were the golf, our schools, Old Colony, and the water and sewer enterprise fund. Those are the only ones that we didn't take up yet.
Well, that, I think's the only one, our accountant, then, town council, we cut to 100,000.
Okay.
We're hoping some of the litigation goes away. I believe the rest of the general government are the same. Police department, we've had multiple discussions on it. You know, we cut 2 cars out,
Right.
$30,000 in overtime, and the police chief was, the amount for potential raise was 2%. Fire department, we took all of the extra overtime money, we went back to 70,000. And we'll address that in the fall. So that was a change. The rest of the public safety are the same. I told you how we'll address the lease purchase for Old Colony. We're going to do that in the motion on the operating budget. You've seen in the past, it says taxation, EMS reserve, where the 513, the 60,000, the 1,555. Well, we'll be adding in the other 2 into the funding motion for the golf offset and the overlay money that will be put in, and the overlay money is specifically marked for that part of the Old Colony budget. And I think you still have to vote on Old Colony and the schools.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't have any answers other than the bottom line figure at the schools. But I will say that we met a number of times with the representatives of the school committee, representatives of the administration, and the school business manager, and they incrementally cut down to 330,000 increase, which was substantial from what they started at.
Right, it was,
1.2.
it was a process to get there, attending the subcommittee meetings, which, you attended numerous, myself, Sue, and, it's very appreciative that they got down to that. And we needed cooperation from all our departments, but particularly them, since they carry, such a big portion of the overall town budget. It was crucial that they're able to do that, because otherwise we'd be in a boatload of trouble right now. if it wasn't for that cooperation.
We wouldn't have a balanced budget.
No.
Or we'd have a budget that would be in controversy in town meeting.
So do you folks want to vote individually on Old Colony and our schools right now, since we haven't done that yet? I'd say we do that now.
Those are pretty significant budgets, so maybe we should.
Yeah, so just give you the total, the Old Colony overall budget was $2,909,968, which essentially represented about a 2% increase from last year for them. Our school department has come in at $16,393,663, which is essentially a little over 2% increase from last year. So the total, education total for the two schools is $19,303,631.
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion,
Mr.
Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, we're not gonna get the line item budgets from the school department and from the,
We received that.
we did receive that,
We received that.
reflected in these numbers?
I believe we have. Yeah.
I believe so. I only get the bottom line figures. I did not get a line item budget.
So we don't have one.
Yeah, well, we did with the highlighted areas that were cut. Yes, we have.
I think you folks got it.
Yes. We
And all
did.
I needed was the bottom line.
We did, and Old Colony already had a line item budget, but the school cooperated with our request. So I'm satisfied with what they provided us.
You had a motion in a second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So school budgets are approved.
Public Works, we cut 10,000 out of highway, 5,000 from engineering, and 5,000 from supplies. Nothing out of snow and ice as usual. We went from 30,100 to 27,350 in street lighting. And the supplies. The rest of Public Works remains. We cut 40,000 out of veterans. We looked at the run for the last 3 years of benefits, and we thought that was something we could afford. If we go into a deficit, we'll have to address it in the fall, but we don't. Looking at the 3-year run, we still left a cushion. And the veterans agent has resigned, and we have an interim veterans agent now, and we're going to be advertising for that position.
Just out of curiosity, the veterans agent resigned after the cut, or because of the cut, or he was going anyway?
Well, he gave a very complimentary letter and said it was time to resign. It's a part-time position.
Pete, you're interested? Eric?
I'm retiring in 30 days, so we'll have a job.
There you go.
He's actually the guy that's intern of one of our members. Congratulations.
Library, we cut $9,000, but we kept it up, so it's still above the state limits by
So it doesn't
2,000.
affect their rate, right.
Miscellaneous, we increased by 2,000, that's the 2,000 I talked about up the front from the accountant. We have been informed that it's very likely that cruise night will come back. And so we wanted to make sure we had, without changing the bottom line of the operating budget, we just transferred money to take care of it.
Port Park, right?
I haven't been here since it's been,
School department, school,
Cruise night, they're talking about cruise night.
yeah.
Or the parking lot of Port Park?
Yeah, the one that they normally have here.
Yep.
Yeah. Should be down at Port Park. Is what I'm saying. Not here.
Right.
I thought it was down the whole street.
Cruise night? No, isn't that where they do the car, it's a car show.
Yeah, he's had,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the fire department,
Yeah, they blocked it
complained
off,
about
I
it or
think.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to move it, yeah.
Yeah, because they would typically have like some music, right, and some food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beer station.
Yeah.
You can see the debt principal, long-term interest, those figures have been refined. You had the figures that were from last year in your original budget, but we've made sure that those are the figures for this year. And short-term interest is just the ban, and we're looking to look at that in the fall to see how much we can pay off before we go out to actual borrowing. Pensions are out of our hands, and we've decreased the insurance budget as we've got better figures from all the carriers, and we're still waiting on one, but I don't think it'll affect it that much. So, and that'll also, it will enable us with the sufficient cushion that if some individuals have a triggering event in their own life, they can then access our health insurance and it won't change the bottom line. We have one of the P&C providers never gets in until July, so if there is a problem, we'll address it in the fall like we have in the past, but it's always been minor money. And that's the operating budget. As tight can be.
Got that right. All right, so the only other articles that we have to take up.
Now we pick golf and sewer.
Yes. So, let's see. So the golf department request is $2,036,247.
What I printed here, I put an extra 3 on debt service for golf. It should be 336,525.
But the total is accurate.
Total debt, yeah.
Right, so they're, compared to last year, they're only up a little over 100,000.
We went, as I said, we went through and changed the original budget in areas that we knew were inaccurate, and also reflected that change in the offset figures. So we can start now to actually, within a year, probably refine how much town budget numbers are the town budget is paying for enterprise activities or functions.
I think our golf course, golf department, I think they do a great job of maintaining the course. I have quite a few patients who golf, and I always make it a point to ask, oh, where you playing? And invariably, it's always Acushnet. So that's a nice reflection on our town and our golf department. And it's going to be a real, asset. I mean, it already is an asset to the town, but once the bond is paid off in a few years, it's going to become even a bigger asset for our town.
Today I was at Mass General Brigham, and one of the technicians I was talking to was commenting about coming down here and buying golf gift cards for the men in her life. So, all the way up in Foxborough, people are talking about the Acushnet golf experience.
During the summertime, all the people that come to spend time down the Cape and all that from all over the United States, they hear about Acushnet, and they all come up here and they can't believe how great it is. For the price that the price that we charge to play golf up there is ridiculously low compared to what all the other places are, and the other courses aren't half as good.
And
And it's just, the course is just, it's unbelievable.
the selectmen have made an arrangement with Fairhaven for Acushnet resident pricing for golf in exchange for beach passes. So that is probably going to, within a week, will be an operational program.
June 4th.
That's a nice trade-off.
June 4th is the target date for it to be live.
Pardon?
June 4th is the target date for it to go live.
Yeah, beach passes are what, 40?
It'd be 40 or 45, whatever the resident rate is for Fairhaven, we would get the same. I don't remember which one it was. So,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the golf budget as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, golf department is approved. The next one is Article 27, which is our sewer enterprise fund. Total is $1,121,445.
We verified today when we were verifying all the debt figures, this debt figure, and it's correct. The other figures you've seen in the presentation from DPW on the sewer budget.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to accept the sewer budget as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Article 27, sewer enterprise fund is approved.
Now, the next article comes from planning board, Concom, etc. It's a new stormwater bylaw. It's not my specialty. But it's gone through, I think, 3 years now of going to be presented, pulled back, and it's been refined by the committee of the Board of Health, Planning Board, Conservation Commission. They did one change that's reflected in the bylaw you have there about just making sure it's solar raise are subject to the review, no matter what. And other than that,
This is a non.
I don't have the expertise to explain it.
Yeah, this is a non-spending article, so we don't have to make a recommendation on this. And this is beyond our purview, in my opinion, and expertise. I don't want to pretend that I understand everything in the MS4 stormwater bylaw, so.
Your Eames water goes down, that's it.
That's it.
We've let the parting ways building committees know they're gonna have to stand up and explain it.
So I propose that someone on the committee make a.
So, Mr. Chairman, make a motion to accept the town warrant as presented,
I'll second it.
With all the changes.
with all the changes.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would very much like to thank this committee, the patience of the members of the committee while we were working through this, and the work that they've done with us to get this. It's probably been one of the most difficult budgets I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you for all your
it's,
hard work and that
You and the selectmen, yes.
and
And the
it's,
schools, stepping
it's
up.
not because of the town side.
I know there's many hours put in behind the scenes by a lot of individuals. Our board of selectmen, all of our finance committee members, I know work very hard, going the extra mile, doing some homework, looking at this stuff, trying to find ways to make sure we have adequate services, but at the same time, keep the town affordable to live in for our residents. And that's the bottom line, is for that. That's the last thing we want, is people not being able to stay in their homes because they can't afford to. Some things are definitely out of our control, and I've expressed this over and over again at numerous meetings. What happens at the federal level trickles down to the state and then down to the local level. So it's really up to the registered voters in the state to decide. Do you want to keep having the same economic policies in this state going forward? Or do you want to have something that's going to be more long-term for all of us to live more comfortably, and for future generations.
Well,
It's a struggle, and it's something that I struggle with personally. Seeing a lot of things that are going on nationally and at the state level. It's something where you just you want to bang your head against the wall sometimes, and it's like, what do people not see what I'm seeing? But I think a lot of people see this stuff, but like I said, a lot of this is out of our control, unfortunately, in the state, because we've been entrenched in thinking a certain way, and and voting for one political party all the time. And I think it's time to make some changes in this state, whether it's local, starting at the local level.
Considering the state is one of the most expensive in the country to live at, and that's before you factor in the illegal immigration
Yeah.
expenses that are sitting at 1.5 billion plus right now for the state, that the state doesn't have, it's only gonna get more expensive. If you
No,
keep
it's-
doing the same thing, it's never gonna change.
It's insane.
but, I'd like to highlight this committee and the Board of Selectmen, because this town administrator wouldn't have been able to create this budget without your assistance, and especially the assistance of the Board of Selectmen, because remember, we did not have a town accountant or an assistant town accountant in place during this whole process.
Yeah.
The team effort.
That's where all the extra hours come
Some of the cost
into
savings.
play. and, you know, going forward, next year is gonna probably be just as challenging, if not more. You know, so we're gonna have to continue to take this, you know, conservative approach continually, and be very mindful with our spending, because that's the main thing that we can control, is what we spend. A lot of other things are out of our control, but we can control what we spend. You know, I know there's an article in there about the meals tax, and believe me, I'm no fan of creating a new tax or raising taxes. But if this helps our residents minimize their property tax, and it can generate a little bit of extra revenue, whether it's $50,000 to $100,000, then it's...
And it's competitive with all the surrounding areas.
Exactly.
Brings in money from different towns.
And it's something that has to be done, and it's just because of the, you know, the environment in this state, that you kind of have to accept that. And if it's going to be helpful to our residents, and like I said, minimize their property taxes as much as we can, because that's why we're here, is to try and do that, and you know, keep all of us in our homes, keep our homes affordable. You know, because it's getting tougher and tougher. I mean, we all see it. You know, everybody goes to the grocery store. Everybody gets their utility bills. And it's not easy. Okay, so we've covered everything. If there's anything we didn't cover, then like we've done in the past, at prior annual town meetings. What was that?
World poverty next.
If we had to cover anything, button up anything, we'll take care of that prior to the annual town meeting. If we have to meet an hour before, we've done that in the middle school library right before the actual meeting. I don't think that's going to be necessary, but you never know what's going to come up. So just be prepared to potentially be at the school for 6 o'clock on that day, just in case. Okay? The next thing on the agenda for tonight is a reserve fund transfer from our Council on Aging. It's in the amount of $6,806.76. So this is it's a request. It's due to unanticipated expenses at the Council on Aging building. Apparently the septic system there has not been maintained for over 5 years. The septic system pumping was overdue, as well as the grease trap service. A sewer pipeline was completely blocked and overflowed into the men's bathroom, causing an urgent request for plumbing services. The R&M account was in the negative by $1,429 as of 5/22/24. On 5/23/24, Roto-Rooter was called for bathroom flooding, and they needed to do some jet flushing to clear the blockages. So that's why this is in need. So obviously this was an urgent need. Why it wasn't maintained for 5 years.
It seems it's not from Council on Aging, but it seems that it was, from what I can see, it was somewhere between the town building department and the fact we've had a number of changes going back a number of years since the original personnel left and went to Plainville.
Right, so the fact that there hasn't been anybody in place and people have left, this kind of fell through the cracks. Because as we all know, anybody with a septic system, when you're going to have the thing pumped regularly to avoid this. So last time you
we've started to look through other buildings and everything and issues like this because
The library had an issue last year.
yeah, there was no real paperwork left as far as the town buildings when those various personnel left.
Well, I'm assuming then it's been a couple of years for most buildings that have been serviced. at least since the last one. So do we have something in place to get them serviced
Yes.
now at a regular cost instead of emergency cost?
No, it'll be, we have a discussion, a meeting with not only Council on Aging Director, but the Library Director, my office, or someone from Town Buildings to not only talk about that, but also talk about how we can best use our maintenance and custodial personnel. If you've gone up to Parting Ways or this building upstairs and now in the library, we've been doing a number of painting, spiffing up the buildings, doing some in-house repairs, that type of thing.
Right, I'm talking about the septics for the rest of the town.
No, I'm just saying,
We're general.
rather than each building being a silo, we're putting it together as a whole group and starting to put a design together how we address all these issues.
Right. I just don't want to get hit with another $6,000 bill on something that could have been $400 or $500 if we had just serviced it regularly.
But there seems to have been not only a silo mentality as far as the buildings, but also a silo mentality as far as appropriating money for those type of functions,
Yeah.
which doesn't make any sense budgetarily or operationally.
Yep.
Another skinning of the onion.
Yeah, 'cause I was under the impression that there was a department that was supposed to handle all of this for,
Huh?
there was supposed to be a department, the selectman's office was supposed to handle all of the sewer.
Which is very unusual for any other town in the Commonwealth. And I'm not sure it was the office or whether it was an individual involved.
It's individuals.
I would suggest any town building that has a septic system, just have something in place, like,
Should have a log.
this was the date.
Correct.
It was.
There should be a log on a number of the
You go
repairs.
forward to the next year, get it on your calendar, set a reminder so you know when it has to be.
We've had the same situation with furnaces, boilers, etc. It looks like things were done when issues reached critical mass.
Yes.
I mean, we have all this technology in place now today, let's utilize it for a good purpose.
Well, you know what planning is in government. Who are you going to have lunch with tomorrow?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, so we have a motion,
Second.
any discussion?
I think we beat that one to death.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no one's opposed, so this is approved. Mr. Kelly, I want to make sure you take this, so we have my signature on it. Okay, next on the agenda, we have 2 sets of minutes. Well, actually, let's go over, I don't want to skip old business. Does anyone have any old business to discuss? Any new business? Okay, no new business, no old business. Meeting minutes, we have 2 sets of minutes. The first one is from the meeting of April 3rd, 2024. In attendance was myself, Sue Delgado, Pete Benoit, Eric Chu, Bob Ferrera, and Eric McGlynn. Absent was Kristen Flynn and Bob St. Jim.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any of those minutes are approved. And the next set of minutes is from April 17th. In attendance was myself, Pete Benoit, Eric Chu, Bob Ferrera, Kristen Flynn, Eric McGlynn, and Mr. St. Jean. Absent was Sue Delgado.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, those minutes are approved. Next meeting date, as I mentioned earlier, we will only meet if we have to, an hour prior to the annual town meeting on June 17th, in case there is any business that needs to be buttoned up. Not anticipating that, but just be ready just in case we do have to meet.
You'll obviously let us know. Kathy.
Yeah, oh yeah, we'll give you a heads up, probably at least a week in advance, I would imagine. And one last thing, I would like to thank our chef, Pete Benoit, for all the delicious meals that he's brought in during this time frame. Kept our finance committee well-fed. So anybody out there, well, actually, there's no more seats available on the finance committee right now. So you're kind of missing out on some really good food, but you spoiled us big time. No, we don't expect it all the time.
Looking forward to the menu next year.
Hey, we're gonna do a little shindig before the town meeting, gonna set us up, or?
I think we should get together after this is all said and done.
Take
And
Pete out.
No? You
Yes.
just come over, I'll
Yes,
go.
yes.
we should all
The
get
real
together.
question is
Yeah,
next
I
year,
agree
will
with
it
that.
take requests?
Have a little celebration, because we all did work really hard this year. It'd be nice to just get together outside of this, and just, talk and have some fun and laughs.
With that being said,
Finance committee
motion to
at
adjourn.
Oh, we got a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.